Hi everyone, hopefully we're live with no tech difficulties this week. I am just going to quickly look on our page just to make sure it's all good. I can see we're there. If somebody can just say hello, I'm just going to make sure I've got no sound on there. And that I know that you can all hear me very easily because I've got our mic working and it should work all the way through today. It's fully charged. And hopefully you can see me well enough as well too. Can you see the counter so that when we're cooking you can easily see what I'm doing? So I can't see any comments yet, but if somebody can just write a comment, then I know we can get started and underway. Today I am making a Penang curry paste from our website. I put the link in the live just above too, directly to our website, the curry paste, and we're going to make a Thai curry chicken with the Panang paste. And we're also making our, I say it's famous, but it is an original recipe that I created back in 2017, early 2018. It's been a part of our Fresh and Easy Keto cookbook and our Keto Breads ebook. There's actually a whole chapter on this recipe made various ways in here. Everything from Pop-Tarts to empanadas, naan bread, nut-free version. So yeah, there's quite a few different ones in there. So we're going to be making that today in a couple of different ways. So I'm going to do one in the microwave, one in the Thermomix for those of you who use either. If you don't have a microwave or a Thermomix, you can obviously melt cheese over the stove. Very, very simple recipe and is so amazingly good. But anyway, I'll just have a quick look. I can see, yes, we're underway. So let's get straight into it because we're going to see how much I can get done in an hour. I think I can knock all these over. The main thing is just cooking time. So our curry will take 20 minutes to cook in. I'm going to cook it in the Thermomix, but it's super simple to make it on the stove. And I'm going to do the hemp share bread, as I said, in the microwave and in the Thermomix, other way around, and bake it in our oven. I'm going to still try and turn my oven up from 170 for the first version to 250 for the next and chuck a pizza stone in there. I'm not liking my chances. To also show you how to make the naan as well because it actually does puff up. But let's get started. Okay, so first up we're going to be making the curry paste. So as I said, these two recipes, the Panang curry paste and the Thai Panang curry chicken, are on our website. The link is in the post I just put for this live today. For the curry chicken, and the paste is in the recipe card. So if you jump to the card, you'll actually see a link to this paste. Very, very simple to make. I'm going to go through the ingredients and I'm going to make it in the Thermomix, but you can make this in any blender, or if you want to, you can make it in a mortar and pestle with a mortar and pestle. Okay, so it just takes a little bit of extra elbow grease, but any sort of blender, mixer, chopper, your NutriBullets, or good old-fashioned chopping and grinding will get you done. So the basic ingredients in this are 6 to 10 dried chilies that you soak in hot water. Now, I've already done that. If you have fresh chilies, of the cayenne type or any of the serranos and stuff like that, Thai, you can use any chilies you like. I just wouldn't recommend, even though I love them, Mexican chilies in this because it's a Thai flavour. So you don't want that sort of more smoky flavour. You want a little bit of heat, but not too much. In saying that, where I say 6 to 10 dried chilies, you can pare that back as much as you like. If you're not a big chili eater, just add 1 or 2. It's not a hot paste, okay? So I'm going to add that in now while I'm talking. You can add a little bit of the liquid if you wish, but I don't want a lot. Hopefully this will chop up. I haven't made this in years. If you look on the website, I think I actually added it to the website in 2018. I think I've made it once since then. Not that there's nothing wrong with the recipe or anything wrong with the recipe. It's just that I don't have time to go backwards a lot of the time unless they're, one of my regular recipes that I just make all the time. Okay, so in this we put cumin seeds and coriander seeds. Now, I do have them, but I have them in a bulk bag and I haven't opened them yet, but I have plenty of ground ones open. I ended up open because I buy everything in bulk. I'd had a lot. So if you don't have the seeds, you can use ground. So I'm just adding in ground cumin and ground coriander. Sorry for that extra noise. We've got 2 tablespoons of peanuts. So with the peanuts, I'm just using the crushed peanuts that you can buy from the supermarket in those small bags rather than buying a big bag of peanuts. I know a lot of us don't eat them. These crushed nuts are really great for yogurts, or of course keto yogurt, keto ice creams, top of a smoothie and stuff like that as well too. So they're one of my favourite ingredients to have in the pantry. Just a little bit goes a long way, and I find them really tasty. I just popped in half a teaspoon of peppercorns. You can just grind your pepper in there. And now I'm just going to, I'm just having a quick look at my blitz here for 10 seconds, speed 10. So if you were doing this in a mortar and pestle, you'd just be grinding up those now, or pounding them, or just popping in your NutriBullet at full speed. Sorry for the noise. Even when you use these, I just go by sound. I can hear that there's tiny little bits in there now, so I think that that'll be fine because we're actually going to be putting more ingredients in it and turning back on again. So you can see, for those of you who don't have a Thermomix, this is what it looks like inside the bowl. Same sort of thing as if it was in your blender or your NutriBullet. Scrape down the sides. Let's get it all down the bottom. FYI, this smells absolutely amazing, and I'll just show you. You can see it's actually like a paste already, so be interesting on your toast. So just pop that back in there. Now I'm going to add the rest of the ingredients. So the rest of the ingredients that I've got here, I'm just going to read them out just in case anyone's writing it down instead of looking up the recipe, but you can print. This is just printed off the website in very easy format. So I'm just adding 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Now I've got my garlic, and I've got some kaffir lime zest. So I actually grow kaffir limes outside, so I've just gone and grabbed one off the tree and grated it like through a microplane. And my garlic, and there was, oh no, that's actually over there. I've got 2 tablespoons of the lemongrass paste. So everybody knows I always use these Gourmet Garden pastes because it's so much easier. If you've ever used fresh lemongrass, or if you grow it, that's great. You just use the soft part of the bulb. But I always find when I buy it, it takes up a lot of space and you don't get a lot out of it. This, I know when I pay the money for this, every teaspoon is a teaspoon of lemongrass paste. So economically speaking, it is amazing. So that's the way I buy it. The other ingredients that I've got here is I've got some shallots. So fresh shallot, golden shallot, purple shallot, eschalot, whatever you want to call it. It's the little one with the gold skin that looks like an onion, but it's not. It's slightly sweeter in flavour, milder in flavour. We add that in. I've got ginger here. Now, I would normally use a Gourmet Garden paste, but I actually was so lucky that I got a whole heap of macro ginger really, really cheap at Coles when it was marked down one time. So I've got it in the freezer, so I just pulled out a knob of it. It was really funny. I broke it off. It flew up in the air. It came back down and landed on one of these bowls with ground coriander in it and threw it everywhere. So if you see it's a little bit messy over there, that's why. And in here I've also got a tablespoon of kaffir lime leaves that I've actually just sliced up. Now, if you can't get any kaffir lime leaves where you are, or kaffir limes, you can just use lime. It's just that it's more of a Thai flavour that you can add in there. So in that goes. The other thing that I've got here, I'm just going to chuck that one in because that's a baby one, is it says coriander root. So if you've got, these are from my garden and they're only babies. When you get the coriander from the supermarket, if you can see that they've got the actual roots on them, usually they're really a lot thicker than that and longer. And all you would do is with your knife, you can just rub them a little bit and it'll shave off any of the little membrane roots. And that is a flavour bomb, okay? So I'm going to chuck that in, but for me, seeing I didn't have any big ones, I'm actually going to use all the stems, and these leaves will make an amazing garnish. So no loss of anything there, and that's how I roll. I like to grow the herbs that I'm going to use often in my cooking, because as we know, like if you buy coriander from the supermarket, it's roughly around about $3 for a packet. And I find that in a day or two, it's just not worth it anyway. You've got to blitz it up and freeze it or something like that. Okay, so for those using a thermal cooker or a blender, I'm blending this for 15 seconds at speed 6 to create a paste. I'll scrape and repeat if it needs it, but let's see how we go. When you hear that, oops, I'm pressing the wrong screen. Look at what I'm doing. I stop and I scrape down and I just continue on. And I want to go back to my home screen. So that was 5 seconds. If any gets caught in the lid, scrape it from the lid first. So who likes Thai food? Because I think we've got a lot of people in our Facebook group that absolutely love Thai and are asking me for more Asian style, Asian influenced meals. So you can see like this is what it's starting to look like already. I'm going to take it the extra time, even if I have to take it out again in 5 seconds and scrape it again. But this is great making your own paste. I just had that on the wrong speed. And I'll just give it one more scrape down and just do the last few seconds. So when you make these pastes, as you can see, like that was pretty easy ingredients. And realistically, the only fresh ones that I had to get from my garden was the coriander and the kaffir lime. So when you make these, like you might use 2 tablespoons, which is what we're going to use in the chicken, and you've got some left over. You freeze it. You've got sauces. I love the idea of having keto cubes in the freezer, which you can just throw in, you know, cubes of any flavouring. So whether it's a butter, whether like a flavoured butter, tomato sauces, any kind of marinades and stuff like that. So then they're just on hand without having to make them all the time. So I'm even going to show you how I'm going to preserve this after we've got it. Okay, so I'm going to scrape down the lid. Now the beauty of this is I'm going to cook the curry in this same bowl, so I don't have to clean out the bowl. Okay, so we've got this beautiful paste. You can see that. Let's get it closer. Beautiful paste. I'm going to do it because there's not enough light here. Okay, so I'm going to leave 2 tablespoons. I think that's what I use in my curry, right? Yeah, 2 tablespoons. I'm going to leave 2 tablespoons in the actual curry. I might just pop this in here for now. I'm going to take this beautiful paste out. Kitchen smells amazing. Now this is me just guesstimating what's in the bottom of the bowl will be the 2 tablespoons. You can take it all out, weigh it if you wish, or measure it out with your tablespoon and then put it back into the bowl. I'm not so fussy. The funny thing is when I first started writing recipes, I actually had to learn how to measure things because I'd never really followed recipes before. I'd always just made it my own. Oh my gosh, that shallot is strong and my eyes are starting to water even through glasses. Okay, so I've left the remainder in here. Don't even have to wash the lid. What I've got here is what a lot of people will use, I know, is the dome molds. You can use an ice cube tray. And just with the remainder, mine's just a little bit oily because I actually put that in the bowl that had the olive oil in it. I'm actually going to add 1 tablespoon of this into my mold. You could use a tablespoon to actually measure this out. So thinking that I'm making a curry here, you could of course halve this if you wanted to, but making a curry here for 4 people using 2 tablespoons, I can quickly see that I will have 5 more dinners roughly out of the remaining paste. I'm just going to take that bit out of there. Scoop that bit out of there. So we get roughly, so we've got 10 little domes. Sorry, I'm crying. There's onion in my eye. So I'm going to pop that in the freezer, just straight as it is. And then once it's frozen, just got to move my keto honeycomb out of the way. There's a little teaser. Oh my gosh, I've got to get a paper towel. Where did I put it? There it is. Yeah, so when that's frozen, I'm going to put that in a plastic bag. You make me cry. Okay, so now we've done the curry paste and it really would have taken less than 5 minutes, right? So let's get our chicken underway. So if we were doing this in the stove, sorry if I'm blinking really bad, it's still like crying. You can't plan for that. Okay, that's funny. Okay, I think I'm better now. Okay, so if you were doing this on a hot plate, you'd take your paste out of your blender, of course, serve it all up and leave the remaining 2 tablespoons. So then we're going to add to this now our oil. So I've got the ingredients already here to go. So just 1 tablespoon of oil. And we're adding our peanut butter. Now this is non-traditional in a Penang. Peanuts are, but I like the peanut butter. It's a very simple ingredient. It adds amazing sauciness to the sauce because we're actually removing shrimp paste out of this. One, I don't like it, even though I love prawns. I just don't like it, and it's also a little bit higher in carb. And I'm going to be adding, no, I'm not adding the sweetener yet, peanut butter and the curry paste. Okay, so we've got all that in there, and then I'm going to cook that for 5 minutes. I'm going to keep an eye on that because, like I said, I wrote that a long time ago. We'll just see it's not too long at 120. And just stir, and the lid off. So when you see MC off, it's just like the measuring cup out. Okay, so now we've got that on, and then when that is done, I'm going to add the remaining ingredients. I'll be able to smell that, and once I'm able to smell it, that's probably when I'm going to dump in the ingredients anyway. So we'll just keep an eye on it because I can adjust the recipe very simply. But it's probably correct because I know people make it quite often, so we should be good to go. So while that is going, like I said, we're going to be making the hemp share bread. So I'm just going to find where it actually is in the book. So somebody actually asked today about, I think it was on the main group, our main Mad Creations group, how do you look after all of, how do you store all your ebooks and that? So you can see, like, I've got a stash here of ebooks. I print them and then I just take them to Officeworks and they bind them for about $5. So you can see it's got a clear plastic cover and it's got spiral bound, and they're quite easy to use and keep open in the kitchen. So this is the chapter of hemp share bread. So there's lots of different recipes in here for it. There's the nut-free hemp share bread, as well as the original, the Americana, hemp share pizza, barbecue shapes, seasoned hemp, Argentine empanadas, apple cinnamon hemp turnovers. They taste like, but better than a McDonald's apple pie. Very, very hemp tarts and hemp share stuffed naan, which is stuffed with smoked almonds, fresh herbs, spring onion, avocado oil, and mozzarella. And that is the chapter on the hemp share bread. So let's get into that one because it's very easy. I'm just going to wipe my eye again because, wow, that onion, like I said, super strong. Who's made the hemp share bread before that is actually on this live? If you have, you can write what you think. Sorry, I just bashed the microphone. You can write what you think of it so that other people can decide whether they're going to make it or not. So it's quite simple. We'll start with the one in the microwave. Like I said, I'm going to make it 2 ways. So with this one, I won't stick it straight into the microwave just yet. I'll just go through the ingredients because I'm going to pop in the curry before we start jumping back and forward with the bread. Okay, so in this bowl, we have 200 grams of mozzarella and 50 grams of cream cheese. This may seem quite similar to a fathead. Trust me, this does not taste like a fathead at all. Just the slightest change changes the whole thing. Okay, so we're going to heat that. Then to that, we're going to add, in the original one, we're going to add some hemp seeds, and we're going to add some almond meal and an egg. Hemp seeds are found in most of the supermarkets these days. You can buy a lot online. I have Vassie Valley ones which are from WA. So it's just like they're either called hemp seeds or hemp hearts because I know we've got people from different countries on. So they're the hulled hemp seed. And they are high in protein, so a high plant protein source. So if you don't eat a lot of meat, great protein source there as well. For the one that we're doing in the Thermomix today, We'll be doing it with coconut flour, so it is nut-free. You can also use chia flour, psyllium husk, hemp flour if you wish, sesame flour, peanut flour. Well, not that peanut flour is nut-free. And this one's got some baking powder in it too, because this is the one that we'll do the naan if we get time within it. And it has an egg too. We use salt flakes, just it seems the timing is right for that paste, by the way, cooking. The other thing is I always laugh because I pull this out of a tea tin, is we have some Nigella seeds, which I have in tiny little bags. Thanks, Linda, who comes around and fills me up, even though I've got a big bag of them somewhere in my house. Nigella seeds, you'll find at most Asian markets. Elite Health supplements, which I know a lot of you buy your health supplies and your keto supplies from, also have them in store. If you've ever had Turkish pita bread, it's like that, that's on the top, or even some of the naan. So, you know, I love it. For me, it makes the bread, it gives the flavour. You can use black sesame seeds. They might look the same, but they don't taste the same. For me, there is no substitute, but you can use sesame seeds if you prefer, or any herbs. Just laughing, my nails are turning blue because it's cold. Okay, so... And then what we're going to do with this one too is you can flavour this. So you can add in any of your spices, like our Italian substitute, say for instance, it's on the website, our Cajun spices, Parmesan cheese. I'm going to add in a bit of garlic and a bit of baby spinach today. So that will be delicious. Okay, so I've got my paste here. I'm just going to, here it is here. Oh my gosh, this smells absolutely incredible. So what I'm doing now is I'm just making sure that it's all down into the base, and just that I'm just running my spatula around the bottom to get any that's on the bottom off, if you know what I mean. Like, so just scraping it, so where it might be sticking on the bottom already, we're going to add in the extra. I'm just lifting it off a little bit so it won't burn on there. So the simple part about this now is I'm just going to add the remaining ingredients. This is what I love. If you hadn't known yet, I do try and make everything I can as absolutely simple as possible. So, because I hate stuffing around in the kitchen. So I've got 2 tablespoons of brown sweetener here. I use the Sucrin Gold because it gives that like brown sugar flavour. To be honest, none really are a solid substitute from the supermarket. I would say the Natvia Brown would be the closest one to it, just because it's a darker one and sort of more of that malty sort of caramelly flavour. You can add any other sweetener, you can leave it out completely, but for me it doesn't add sweetness to the sauce, it adds a caramel undertone. I've got fish sauce, so gluten-free fish sauce for that. We've got our chicken, so I've got chicken thigh fillets here that I've trimmed the main parts of the fat off and just cut them into like bite-sized pieces, not too small. Of course, you don't want them small, but you want them to be able to fit into the mouth when they're cooked, but not too tiny, otherwise they'll overcook when they're done. And I've just trimmed the edges of those fat off and gone over it to make sure that there's no bone. You can use breast if you prefer. It's totally your choice. And of course you can use chicken on the bone. Okay, and now, sorry for the sniffling, it's still my onion. Okay, and I've only got 250 grams of coconut cream here. The recipe, I think, says 300. I've got like a litre in the fridge, but I prefer to have less with mine. Okay, you can use, if you don't like coconut cream or coconut milk, you can just use a stock. You could use tomato in this if you wish. You could also use a yogurt or a sour cream or a creme fraiche. Any of those would be fine. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that on for 22 minutes. Again, trusting a very old recipe of mine at 120. Reverse. So if you're using a thermal cooker, make sure your blades are in reverse so it doesn't actually like shred or break up the chicken anymore. And speed 1. Okay, so now that is on. That should do its trick, and we can get straight on to this first bread. So I'm going to pop this into the microwave. We're going to try it for 2 minutes on high first and just see how she comes out. Damn that onion. Okay, Okay, so I'll move these out of the way. I'm hoping everybody can see the mat that we've got here for the hemp bread. So one of the things too before that's ready is everyone always asks about, like, say with our tortillas, using a tortilla press. You can use that for the hemp share bread too if you wish. And somebody actually asked me in a question, why do I not use baking paper instead of the plastic bag? So when you use baking paper, it's a bit clumsy, right? And it's stiff. So what I do when I use a tortilla press, I usually use the same one over and over again, but my last one must have been a bit messy, so I threw it away. So I reuse these bags all the time. I just trim down the sides of a sandwich bag, and then it just sits in there like that. You can close it up, squish, no paper gets broken or anything like that. Open up your tortilla press, open that back up. It doesn't stick to any of the breads, even if they're a sticky bread. You can reposition, put it back down again, and press. When I make the hemp share bread, normally I will just roll it out and I just bake it whole, okay? So I'll bake it into a big rectangle. So if you've seen my pictures in the Keto bread book on the main page of the chapter of hemp share bread, where it's all just torn, that is how I originally made it, just as a slab. You've seen in the pictures that I put up some of our amazing cooks from our group that have shared their pictures. You can do it in wraps, you can do it in any shape you want. So I wanted to show you a few different ways to make beautiful shapes for any of these breads too, which we'll just get onto after this bread is done. Okay, I can hear it bubbling, so this one's ready to go. So what I'm going to do, give that a stir to combine the cream cheese and the cheese. I'm just going to move this baking paper so I'm not jiggling around too much. Okay, so that is like beautiful and smooth. I'm going to add in my egg, mix that in. Now, I actually need to look in that book to see what the original times were. I think for those of you who use the Thermomix, the times are completely wrong. I think I put in something silly like cooking it for 6 minutes. It only needs 2 to 3, okay? Now I'm just going to add in my almond meal and my hemp seeds to this one. So that's just 5 ingredients. And I'm just going to mix this in. So yeah, I'm just making sure that I press it into the bottom of the bowl and that it is evenly mixed. And it's easy to see this is easily mixed because you can see the hemp seeds. So when you're doing it, you can see like bits are like just cheesy, like yellow. So you want to make sure that that all gets mixed in the bowl until you can pick it up and it doesn't stick to your hand. Doesn't stick to my hand. All done manually right in front of you, okay? So nobody tell me, oh, it's sticky. It sticks to my hand. Okay. So when I do it, I'm just going to plop it straight onto my paper. I could spread that out with my hands if I wanted to, but I can also just do it on the paper. I can push with my hands into like my normal rectangle that I would do. I think we'll just do this one as a slab so you can see it, and then I'll show you the next one with some shapes. Okay, so as you can see, if I was cooking dinner from scratch, we've got our curry on, it's got 17 minutes to go. This only takes roughly around about 12 minutes to cook as this slab, okay? So I've already got it ready, the oven's on, it's going in. I could in effect have dinner ready in half an hour, okay? From scratch, a curry paste, curry chicken and homemade bread, which you could cut this into any sort of naan shape because I'll show you how to just slightly change the recipe to get it puffier. And of course you'd bake it at a higher temperature or you can even fry it if you wish. Okay, so I'm just going to, now I'm left my paper there. I'm just going to grab some salt flakes and I'm going to season the top And I'll show you my little trick if you haven't seen it before. So this doesn't need any basting or anything like that. Now I'm just going to get my Nigella seeds. Move that out of the way so you can see what I'm doing. And I'm going to sprinkle them all over. You can hear the chicken bubbling away. Okay, so once everything's on there, I just put my baking paper back over again, and I just run my hands over the top, pressing down. And what that does is it actually presses in all the seasoning, so it doesn't come off. See? So now I can just lift that onto my baking tray. Oopsie, sorry. Lift that straight onto the baking tray and straight into the oven. Okay, so I use a fan forced oven at 170 degrees. I put it on for 11 minutes. Mine normally takes around about 12 minutes, so I do like to play the odds sometimes, I guess. Okay, so now that one is done. So we're going to do it again and just do it a slightly different way. So what I've got already in this Thermomix is I've got the 200 grams of the cheese and the 50 grams of the cream cheese. I pop that in there and I'm just going to put that on for 2 minutes. 100 degrees, it comes on, 2 minutes. Oopsie, not that. Come on, no, that's not what we want. 2 minutes, 100 degrees. Put it on for speed 2. Okay, so we've still got our Nigella seeds there. We'll move these ones out of the way. Go there. You don't have to have all these little bowls to wash up when you're at home either, because you can do it straight from the packets. It's funny because even like when I grab my salt, and I normally have it in a little bowl, but I actually hadn't put it in one. But yeah, I end up with a lot of washing up when I do these lives. Okay, so let's do the next one. We've got that in. We're going to do it with a bit of spinach. So if I was doing this as a stuffed naan, what I do is, like I said, I do mine with spring onions, fresh parsley. Smoked almonds are amazing in stuffed naan. Who knew? I did, because I've been doing it that way for years. And cheese, any kind of cheese. Like if you like it more mozzarella to make it stringy cheese, or garlic, or whatever you want. You can pretty much put anything on top. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly chop up that spinach because I'm going to actually mix this one into the bread. I won't do a stuffed naan today, but I'll just show you how we can actually flavour it nicely anyway. With your spring onions at home, I cut these off, I plant that again. So then you'll get a whole new one. So good to grow with your leftovers, right? So now I'm just going to quickly chop some of these as well, because this is going to also go onto my curry. But what I'll use the white bits in my breads as well. I might just cut them a little bit finer because I want it to be able to be trimmed into pretty shapes. And you can see I'm just not even making too much of a fuss, but I'm essentially cutting 6 of them at once. For those of you who cut one at a time. No Kendall Jenner here. If anyone's been watching the news, seeing how you cut a cucumber. Okay. So my cheese is all nice and melty. That will be fine just that way. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pop in my chopped spinach that I've got there. Some of those white bits as well, because the white bits of the green onion we'll just add that oniony flavour. You could add a little bit of onion powder, garlic powder, the onion flakes or garlic granules to it. I'm going to add in my hemp seeds. I don't normally mix all this at once, but I'm going to give it a try and see how it goes. My baking powder, and this one's coconut flour, so this one is actually a nut-free version. And my 1 egg, and fingers crossed. I'm just going to do that for 15 seconds, speed 4. Better have a quick look and see what the recipe normally says. 20 seconds, speed 3. We'll go with that. And then when that stopped making noise, I'll tell you about the different ways as well that we can shape the... Well, I won't tell you, I'll show you. What's cooking? Okay, so we're cooking a Penang curry chicken, which we also made the Penang curry paste. And we're also making Hampshire naan from our Keto Breads book. Okay, do I normally do that in the other one? I'm just going to go with this. We'll just follow this recipe, see how it turns out. I'm going to scrape out the Hampshire naan. So, as I said, like when I make mine at home normally, I don't follow this recipe as such. I just make it as I want. But you can see like this is just turning out lovely anyway. If I was to rewrite every recipe as I go on, I would never get ahead of what I've already written. I think, you know, out of everything that we've published, you know, quite a few thousand recipes now in 5 years, which is pretty insane, if you ask me. Where do I get the ideas from? I hear people asking. Usually it's associated with my own imagination, because it's like, oh, you know, what do I feel like eating? But it's been something that I've always done. I went and visited my father this past week, and I said to him, do you know what age I actually was when I started cooking? And he was like, no. He just knew that, you know, I'd started very, very young, and it was just what I wanted to do, you know. Something I was very, very keen to do from as long as I can ever remember, and I always just made stuff up. You know, if I didn't like something in a recipe, I'm just going to check this curry. It's bubbling away there. I would say it's probably getting pretty close to ready. Are you going to open up and let me in? Oh, it's cooling down. Okay, so you can see this is a beautiful naan. It doesn't stick to your hands or anything like that. I'm squishing it, and it's nice and green. Or naan, I'm saying. It's the hemp share bread, but you can use it for naan because we've put a rising agent into it. You could do a yeasted one if you wish, and that will work just the same as, say, our yeasted fathead do. But like I said, if you actually try this bread and haven't tried it yet, nothing like a fathead. Not even like my fathead, which I don't think is like a normal fathead either. I am just going to check a bit of this chicken because I don't necessarily want to overcook this. But I would say that that is ready. So this is kind of how I cook, how I test things. But if you remember, I actually stuck in less coconut cream into this, and it is cutting nicely. I think I'm just going to put that on for, say, 3 minutes more, and it's done. It's funny, back in the early days, I remember arguing plenty of times with my testers because with thermal cooking methods, if you've got to put these lids back on when they've been on heat, I always take it off and then put it back on so you're not pressing down onto the actual thing. But I'm just going to turn that back to, say, 4 minutes. Turn that down. I can adjust the recipe, that's no problem. And we're just going to put that on for that remaining time, and it'll be cooked. But yeah, I used to argue, it's like, you know, chicken doesn't need to be cooked to death, even when it's thighs. if you just cook it to the right amount of time. But yeah, it was like, everyone's like, oh no, I want to cook it for 5 minutes more just to make sure. And it's like, you don't need to. It's like, as long as it's cooked. Okay, so we've got this bread, doesn't stick. We're going to roll it out. And then I'm going to actually press out some shapes. So if you wanted to do a naan, for instance, I would break it into smaller pieces. I would push it out into, I'll show you with some of the scraps, push it out into an oval shape to be kind of traditional, I suppose. What you can't see, that's what I'm looking at here, as you can see on this side, is the paper is wrinkled. So I just flip it over and straighten out the paper. If it's coming out the sides, that's okay. With this one, we're going to actually press out some shapes so we can just trim it all anyway. So as I said, I'll show you a few different ways to trim. So you know, you've probably seen I have got, I think that's 16 and that's a 20-something centimetre. I can't remember what sizes they are. They're called a cake cutter, and you can cut small wraps or large wraps for them. Now, what other things you can use is you can use Thermomix users, your lid. Just make sure this bit, because it bends down, is off the edge of your bench. You got to, I think it's almost the same size as this one. It's just slightly smaller. So there you go. You've got that one inbuilt into your lid for no extra charge. Other ones that are great is the inside of any of these flan tins or pie tins. So you can use that and then just trim around it, and then it's easy to take off, which we'll show you one of those. And I'll show you one of these as well. So what I love about these is, okay, comes off as a pretty shape. Look, pretty shape. But it's a perfect pie topper too. So if you were to use this as a pie, say for instance, you can put that on as the lid as well. Or you can also push them into the tin, press them out, and actually have the scalloped edge already. Okay, so that can be used on any of those size tins, or you can use the bottom of a springform tin and that as well to cut around, or a plate. But, you know, I just love using different, you know, things in my kitchen. Oh yeah, it's looking good. I'll just grab this cloth over here. I'm going to turn this around, but you can see it puffing up. Now remember, this one's got no yeast and no baking powder in it. But you can see it's got that big bubble. And I want to turn it around because it's a little bit brown on the other side. And I'm just going to cook that for another 2 minutes. As long as you don't burn it, there's no over the cooking time with this one. Okay, so I've got that one. I'm going to keep that one. I'll just show you with this one. So that one I would just pop on there, grab a knife. Another one of Megan's little tips for you. Lift her off. Perfect little tacos. The cutter, you just press it in. Pull that off. So I've got the leftovers. I'll just get it onto my mat. If you haven't got a thermo mat, like a thermomat, or what do you call them? Thermomat, I think they're called. I'm just like calling it that because I'm thinking of Thermomix, but because I'm looking at Thermomix one. But yeah, silicone mat. So if you've got haven't got a silicone mat, get one. They're so good. Okay, whoopsie. So my curry is done. It's ready. My bread is only a couple of minutes away. In that time, if I was going to be making this for our dinner right now, I'd get my bowls out, got a pretty bowl there. I could have my own cauliflower rice, which I could have steamed on the top of this while I was making that, if I was doing that, making cauliflower rice. Or I can just pre-prepare my palmini rice, pop it in the bottom if you want rice. I really don't need it. And then you can see this is a beautiful curry. You could add any vegetables and that to this if you wish as well. Just put a little bit of chicken on the top of that. Okay, our bread is ready. Just pop that there for now. Just gonna, I think you can see that. Our bread out. Look, we've got this beautiful, bubbling, crispy, chewy, soft. It's all of those things, would you believe? I'm just going to whack this back in. The thermostat sitting in the back. Nope. Stop that. We're going to put this up to 250. This is not going to work like I would normally do it at home when I'm just making the one. But anyway, okay, so I'll just let that rest for a second so we can get some of these ready. And then I'm just going to show you how I would serve that with the bread as well. But it's like a little bit anemic looking in the colour. But trust me, it's nice. It's not like, you know, every food visually has to look amazing. But for me, what I do is, you know, I could do some toasted sesame seeds on there. I could do a little bit of herb oil, do a little bit of Nigella Seeds, a little bit of chili flakes if I like chili, fresh chili slices, a few peanuts, roasted peanuts, stuff like that on the top. That's how you dress things up. Fresh herbs, we've got our beautiful coriander, which we'll pop on the top as well. And if you've got micro herbs, the little baby coriander, so little tendrils, and not tendrils, the little top tender pieces of it would be great. Oh, I was going to show you a quick naan, wasn't I? If I was going to do this as a naan. Okay, so let's just divide this. I should have my little cutter here. I do. Let's just take half of that. So if I was going to do a naan and I wanted it to be in that oval shape, I would just press it out or roll it out. Which I think I'll roll out because the dough is like a little bit cooler now. And again, with these, you can fake it. Like, it doesn't pull and stretch like a normal dough would that's made out of, you know, gluten flour, of course. Just going to take it off where we've got that wrinkled paper, so it's not like restricting where I roll. And with this, I might actually just go meow, meow. Oops, don't tear it. And cut out my piece. I'll just press that little bit in there. And then take off those sort of pointy bits and just press it out a little bit more. But we'll see how that goes when we pop it onto a hotter, in a hotter oven. So what I did is with the oven, I've turned it up to 250 degrees Celsius. It'll take a little bit of time to get up to there. And I've put in the pizza stone, because that's how I used to do I used to make a lot of bread, if you haven't caught me before, pre-keto. And I used to bake my naan. So I would put the hot stone in, I would turn on the oven to 250, which was my old oven's top temperature. This one does go higher. Put the piece of stone in, and then when I'm ready, I would just throw it in, flip it over in a couple of minutes, and it's sort of like, you know, cooking it on the side of a tandoor wall. You know, so you'd get like a really nice puff. When you've seen the pictures that I did for the banner of this event, there's one that's on a black one. I use that as it's a Mexican comal, so it's like a cast iron flat tray as well. So you can use anything as long as it's a good conductor of heat to pop them on, and then they'll puff quicker. So hopefully we'll get a bit of puff to show you what these ones look like. But you can see that you can actually like just shape them any which way you want. If you wanted to use the cracker rollers that I just used the other day, you could do that as well too. But yeah, we might just use that one as that. So we've got, like I said, we've got some nice wraps that we can make. So you could still even roll that out a little bit more if you wanted to. So when you've actually got some of the ones that are in a round, you can actually like just roll a quarter turn each time the paper, or quarter turn on your with your rolling pin to make it a little bit thinner. So we'll just see how we go with those temperatures getting up. We've got our curry done. Okay, so when I have the bread done, I'm just going to show you what I actually do to serve it. Pan's still hot. It's kind of hot, but it's not that hot. Okay. So what I do when I'm going to serve it is I actually just grab a pair of kitchen scissors and I just lift it up and I just trim off my bits. You can see like it's got the bubble and stuff like that in the bit. It can actually even separate, but then I just pop that on the side. You've got some beautiful bread. It's kind of like a naan anyway, even as it is this way. But you can see like between this one with almond flour and the hemp seeds, this one with the coconut flour, the baking powder and hemp seeds, they're all both super easy to manage. Okay, so let's just chuck this one in and see how we go. The stone won't be hot. That's the only problem. It's probably going to stick because it's only just gone in there. So normally when I preheat the oven, I would put that stone in there. I would leave it in there about half an hour or longer, just depends. I put it on as I start to cook and it will be nice and hot by the time I actually am ready to cook the bread. I should be able to lift that, yeah. So we'll see how that goes, but yeah, if you can't see that, we've got a beautiful curry, beautiful bread. I would serve this with a little bit of yogurt or extra cream, like some thick sour cream rather than the coconut yogurt. Oh, I could show you before I go, and I'll have a look at the questions in a minute. As we had this one that's left over, even though the dough is like stony cold, let's roll it up. So can I refrigerate this? Can I freeze this? Yes, you can. When you go to use it to roll it out, if you were just going to say pop that into a sandwich bag and pop it in the fridge and make it tomorrow, I would just bring it out half an hour before you need to use it to bring it to room temperature. Okay, so I'm just gonna, that's probably way too much, so we might just cut a little bit off there. So I get it into a rough ball first, pop it into the center of the plastic bag, fold it over, just press it down a little bit, pop my tortilla press on, press, open it. Sometimes you'll see it goes to the side, so it gets a bit squished. It just depends on your tortilla press. Peel it off, see how easy that is? Pop that back in there. So anyone that's already got a tortilla press and been managing another way and so looking at it and going, oh my God, that's like so easy. For those of you who don't know, I've made a lot of authentic Mexican tortillas in my time with Amasa flour. So I've done this quite a few times in my lifetime. So you can see that makes, mine got a little bit squared because it was, like I said, the dough was too big. So that's where it's just gone too far. But you can see it's a nice flat tortilla using a tortilla press. Nothing fancy, you don't need to roll it out between anything. And like I said, what I do is I would actually just remove any excess of that and I would just store mine like that in the cupboard. So yeah, nice little tip there. Okay, let's see how this one's going. And ta-da, it's puffing. I hope you can see that. So, I should show you, I know what I'll do. I'll just show you a quick one. Let's hope that it works. And then I'll look at the questions, I promise. Okay, so let's just push this out a little bit further because I would do this normally with more dough. Oh, it's probably not going to work because I just made a hole in it. But let's just bulk it up. If you think Megan's really prissy with her cooking, she's not. That's why I say, like, people go, oh, but mine doesn't look as pretty as yours. But yeah, I only make it look pretty for a book. Okay, no holes. Let's just add, tell you what, parsley is always like amazing in these, right? So I'm just going to add a little bit of cheese, bit of onion. So this is like almost like your Chinese onion cakes. Let's add some more scallion cakes. Then just close her up, okay? Any which way you want. Let's hope for the best. I am bogging up a little bit more of a hole. Now, we're going to pass or fail on our cold dough. Now, I will say first, this can break apart, and I do have a live video of this on our Facebook page somewhere as well. It can break apart, but when you cook it, it should come back together. Because if anyone's made parathas and stuff like that before, or stuffed naan, you'll know that sometimes it'll bust out. And then you can bake it still. What I tend to do with these ones is I do tend to sometimes just bake them on the paper. But we'll see how this one goes. It's good actually, I guess you're seeing me just bog stuff up. Because then you know at home, if yours breaks, just bog it up like Megan did. That's what she did, and it has worked. We hope, fingers crossed. I'll tell you what, I got the wrong glasses recently and I cannot wait till I get my new ones. These are new ones, but they're the wrong ones. And they get fitted. Because like, put my head back up and down, it tends to, all right, that's ready. Let's get lifter. My glasses keep falling down on my face. Let's pop this one in. I think that's safe to lift. Oops. Bit of the patch bit fell off, but anyway. So we can see we've got this beautiful naan. Now, you could have actually have basted this with butter. For those of you who like the yogurt and that as well, you could actually like substitute some yogurt in here for the cream cheese and that as well too. So I have to say I'm a bit of a fan of yogurt with mine. But you can sort of see, you could pull that apart and put your curry inside. And she's beautiful. So, ta-da! Some more things that you can actually do with this bread. So like I said, when I was reading through the book, you could, with these, fill them with anything. So where I said like, apple turnover, simple as that. Make your choco mix with your apple spices, pop them in, a calzone, put your curry in there if you want to and seal it up and pop it on that hot tray, hot stone, and it'll puff up really quickly. Okay, so I'm going to just pop that on for 2 minutes just so I don't forget it. And then I'll have a look at what your questions are. But that's 1 hour. So in 1 hour, we actually made 2 different batches of the hemp share bread. We made naans and wraps and things like that. We made a curry paste and we made a curry chicken dinner, which was all ready in less than half an hour anyway. And like I said, even if we were doing rice, we could have steamed it at the same time with the Thermomix, or we could have done that on the stovetop as we were doing it as well. You could even put like coriander. You could put the cauliflower in the curry while it's cooking in that as well too. To dress this up a little bit more, like I said, some fresh coriander leaves are always delicious, I think, with any food. So, and like I said, if I had the nuts out, I would probably stick a few nuts on there as well too. So we've got this beautiful curry there with the bread. How much hemp seeds and flour do you use? I use 50 grams of each. The coconut flour is different. So, okay, looking forward to today. Let's have a quick look. So if you've got any questions, write them on here. I'm going to quickly go through and then we'll finish up and let you go and cook it tonight. If you actually do make it, please pop it on our Facebook group, what you've made, and just link it back to the video so that if anybody asks you for the recipe, it's just going to come straight through from this. And or you can link the bread book, which we've got. This one has over 60 recipes in it. It is an ebook that you buy. I have just printed mine and it has all kinds of breads in it just to go through what's in there. We've got, I'll just go through the index. That's probably the best way of telling you. There's apple cinnamon hemp turnovers. There's hemp share pizza, Argentine hemp bananas, bacon and cheese scrolls, banana bread, barbecue shapes, hemp bread, the best keto bread, bacon burger loaves, burger sauce, cacao bread, caramel sauce. Maybe I'll go through some of the breads instead of that. We've got ciabatta. We've got a pizza base. We've got English muffins, fruit toast, finger buns. I'm going to flip that one over. Hot cross buns and one with a keto flour, our special keto flour. Oops, that's probably the wrong thing to do, Megan, but anyway. If you're doing the hemp, I actually recommend basting it with some butter. We've got low carb focaccia with olives, low carb monkey bread, blueberry loaf, a poppy seed loaf, pizza scrolls, picnic loaf, Italian piadinas. Stay tuned. That one I am working on. Some of the girls have been showing them off in the groups and that as well too. But yeah, a great recipe. It was one of my original wrap recipes. We've got quick buns, seeded muffins, a 1 ingredient burrito wrap, a 2 ingredient dairy free wrap, and 4 seasons cauliflower pizza. So there's lots of different stuff in there. All easy recipes, most of them with both conventional and thermal cooking methods in it. Still needs a couple more minutes. Okay, questions. Do you use the same amount of powder as for the seeds of hemp flour? To be honest, I haven't tested it, so it would be a test that you would be testing. I love it with the seeds. When you're eating it, by the way, if you haven't made anything with hemp seeds, like say my quick buns or something like that, my best burger buns, they're not seedy. So it's not like eating, say, I don't know, a sesame seed or a poppy seed. They actually suck it all up. They just change it. It's just weird, but it's amazing. So yeah, I haven't tested it. I would start with a little bit and just see how the dough feels before, and then I would add more. But yeah, I haven't tested it. When you use hemp flour, it does turn things green. So for me, visually, I don't tend to use things that make the foods look really horrible as well, because we eat with our eyes first. I have done green flatbreads in another one, which is quite similar to this, I guess. But yeah, the hemp flour, it's not the same sort of green. It's swampy green. But it appears to be quite expensive getting them posted from Aussie. I would love the actual books too. Hi Jan, yeah, these are ebooks. So the keto bread is ebook, and when you're buying it from Australia, you're not paying the GST that a lot of them do in Australia and that as well too. So it's pretty still much around the same sort of pricing. Just Australia post shipping is just expensive no matter where you're from, to be honest. Love Thai food. So we've got a few with Thai food. I've never eaten Thai food as unfortunately I don't handle hot things very well. Sharon, don't have to have the chili in them. So as you know, like the only thing that was in there was some of those dried chilies. You can pare that right down. Oh, and speaking of which, let's have a look at our curry paste. Okay, so when I started, I made the curry paste and we made the extra serves. With these now, I would pop them out and pop them in a Ziploc bag. Just mark it on, because you know all the Ziploc bags. Here's one that we use here. Not that I can put it in it, but you know what I mean. You can write on here, Penang curry paste and the date. Pop that into one of the sections in your fridge and you've got all these pastes and sauces ready to go. Like that's what, you know, I am trying to fill the website with a lot of these basics that save you so much money. So that when you see things like dried chilies on special or ginger on special or lemongrass or whatever, or you've got, you know, herbs, spices that to use up, you can make all these things, freeze them, and then, like, honestly, you can whip up your dinner, because we did do 10 minutes of making the paste and chatting to make that. You can chuck it all in there and you've got like your dinner ready in 20 minutes. Just all in, done, you know, so very, very simple. And of course that can be done on the stovetop, probably even in less time. If you say even just grilled the chicken and threw it all into the sauce when it's thickened, it's, you know, done in less than 10 minutes, right? All right, so we've got that one done. Just going to turn that off. So even with these, I can cook these later and that as well too. So you could freeze those as is. Now, this one is not going to look so pretty because I kind of flipped it and blew the puff. But we'll let it cool a second and then I'll open it up. But it'll all be nice and cheesy inside. Or you could, like I said, you could make that garlicky and stuff like that as well too. So it could be cream cheese that you could put inside of these as well. Dave, thanks for getting us the correct time when listening from New Zealand. I got up at 4 a.m. just in case. Do you have Australian tablespoon measurements, i.e. 20 mils? I use a 20 mil, yes. So in our books, I do actually write that all in the back. We actually have, not that it's on every single recipe that I write, but in the back of our cookbooks, I have a measurement guide for everything that I've used throughout the books. So just to quickly show you, nothing on the hands. we do a lot of different work. So we've got like our dietary and cooking legends. So that actually shows you freezers, fridge, maker heads, air fryers, one pot, vegan, vegetarian, sugar-free, egg-free, nut-free, dairy-free. All our recipes in our cookbooks are also gluten-free, grain-free, and sugar-free. That's in our physical cookbooks. But we have this guide here, and I actually do say all cup measures are using a metric cup. I do state that I use a tablespoon of the 20 mil. We have our oven temperatures and our conversions and that as well too. So if you're using fan force versus conventional oven, so all of my recipes are in fan force temperatures, so we're using fan force now. Even though I can adjust it to static, I always just use a fan. It's just what I'm used to. So we are trying to be completely transparent in our books so that when you're making it, you can actually make it the same way that we are as well. And for the thermal cookers, we've also got the conversions because we use the Magi mix as well. So we've actually got the conversion of the Cook Expert versus the Thermomix and that as well in our books as well. Okay, so that one is answered. So on the stove, if you don't have a therm, you can use a pressure cooker. If you're going to use a pressure cooker, you would need more liquid. So it would only take, say, 3 to 4 minutes in a pressure cooker, but I would add half a cup of stock. And then you might just need to saute to burn off any excess liquid because, of course, the condensation is going to run back down. But as you know, if you're using a pressure cooker or Instant Pot, you'll get the burn notice if you don't have enough liquid in your dish. Tastes like but better than McDonald's apple pie. Wow, I've got to do cooking to do. So Karen, you probably got the book a long time ago, but yeah, I think they're better. They're quite addictive actually, and they're good cold. So as you can see, it's like cheesy goodness here as well, with our cheesy naan, stuffed naan. So that was just simple, just with the spring onions and and cheese. But I would normally do, like I said, I would normally do that with the smoked almonds and that as well too. Tastes pretty good too. It actually tastes really good because those spring onions taste amazing in that, by the way. And it was just the spinach that we used on the outside for this one. What would you substitute peanut butter with if you're allergic to peanuts? You can leave it out completely. Peanut butter was something that I actually put in myself. The original paste, Penang paste, does have peanuts in it, but you can take that out. If you can't have any nuts, I would add pepitas. Roasted pepitas are amazing in things, or if you can have other nuts, you can still use almonds or cashews, macadamias. I substitute a lot of things that have got different nuts and not seeds, but like pine nuts. I was thinking more of pestos because I've made so many pestos lately. And I use all different kinds of nuts and seeds. So anything you want, anything that you like. It's just to add that extra paste. So as we know, we can achieve that with sunflower seeds, pepita seeds. You could even add hemp seeds if you wanted to. It won't add any flavour, but it'll add the extra protein. Okay, so that was just a tag to somebody. How much hemp seeds and flour do you use? We just answered that one. What cooking? I missed the start. We did that one. What baking powder do you use, please? I always use Bob's Red Mill baking powder. It's a double-acting baking powder. It's vegan, aluminium-free, gluten-free, and has no carbs in it and that as well too. So I see some people say you can't have baking powder on keto. You can have anything on keto as long as you're pretty much staying under your carbs, and it's not going to make you fat. It's not going to push your blood sugars up. But yeah, I use a Bob's Red Mill. There is a Lotus brand one as well that is good, but I find Bob's is cheaper, and I tend to buy them either if I'm getting an order from Elite up the road, or which is Elite Health Supplements, or if I'm doing an iHerb order and I see them, because I honestly don't think about it until I run out, so that's why I tend to buy mine locally. But yeah, if I'm on iHerb, I'll buy it from iHerb. They are in some Coles supermarkets, but I think, you know, if you ask enough at your supermarkets and that for them to stock something like that, they will. Oh, is that how the blade comes out? Yeah, so for those of you who didn't see that, I tend to just, I turn my jug upside down of the thermal cooker, I unlock it, and then I just push the blade out and then scrape it out. So then it all just goes onto there, so you're not pulling things out and Just makes it a little bit easier. Nigella goes rogue with her own recipes. Yes, that's correct. Just quickly going through, how thick have you rolled it out to? 3 to 4. You could do it. You can do this really thin, but you can see like it does puff up, right? So this one's been in a bit of sauce. But I would say it's between 3 to 4 mil. So it's thin, thicker than you'd roll a pasta, and a lot thinner than you'd roll a scroll. So about half the thickness of a scroll. I don't know if you can see that. So about twice as thick as one of these. But yeah, just have an experiment. Even if you do it in the slab that I did, you could do bits that are like thinner and thicker, and you could test and see how you like it. Like these ones I've actually done here are about about 5 mil, about half a centimetre. But you know, I don't mind it, so I prefer just to thin it out and make more out of it. But you can see like that slab was super easy to make. I call it a hemp share bread because it's meant to be just torn and shared, so like you can put it on the table as a slab and everyone can just grab a bit. But if everyone in your family is likely to tear off half of it and you're going to end up with none, just run those kitchen scissors over it like I did and trim them up into little pieces. So for those of you who missed that, that is just a quick, so you can see this is like firmed up now that it's cooled down. But yeah, you can, and you could do them into pretty shapes if you wanted to. So these can be like served with dips. They can be like I like to just eat them on their own. You know, it could be used as a pizza base. It's very simple, but like I said, it's something that I was making it for more than a year before I ever put it into a book, and then as soon as people started making it, they're like, "Oh my god!" And it's like, yeah, it's something pretty tasty. Pretty sure I need a press now. Is the hemp share in another book? I have heaps of books, but don't have the bread book. So Kelly, yes, it's in Fresh and Easy Keto, which is our Christmas ebook from 2018, I think. So Fresh and Easy Keto. I've got it here. That's one of the ones I printed off. So it's in this one. So if you've got that one with the cover of the yogurt tarts, it was in the front, I think. Or I could be wrong. Looks like I'm wrong. Oh, there it is. So yeah. My lovely picture of a hemp tree. Looks like it's something illegal, but it's not. So I've been playing with hemp seeds since they became legal in Australia. And no, they won't get you high. Also, Nigella Seeds. I love hemp seeds in that. I love Nigella too. It's just like the best flavour. If you make any of my crackers, put Nigella seeds on the top of them. They taste amazing. I just added my own recipe to create recipes on Cookie Doo. Made so many mistakes, deleted. I have the whole new respect for recipe writers now. Yeah. And then you have mistakes. Like, okay, to be honest, I have a fridge full of brownies right now. I am thinking only, like I actually videoed it so I can actually watch myself back of every single thing that went into this recipe yesterday, because I'm doing some recipes for Atkins at the moment, the Atkins brand, and I made a brownie and I could see it was splitting and I'm like, what the hell is going on here? And I think it's, I got this chocolate, I won't say the brand, I got some chocolate from the supermarket that is good for us, and when I bought it, it was on half price with no reason why, and I think there must have been something wrong. So I went and made I had to go up the road because I had to get cream cheese because it's a cheesecake swirl one, and I made it again exactly the same way and it turned out perfect. But yeah, I'm like, oh my god. So yeah, pain of recipe developers, you will make, like I've made this recipe several times over already, as have the testers even, to see that it would work before I bother to do photo shoot and video of me doing every single step, only to have to do it all again. So yeah, that was fun. Okay, yeah, the Barbary bread, that's amazing too, yes. Really enjoyed watching, so do I. Hemp share bread is in the Keto Breads ebook, yes. Thanks, Dave. Okay. Oh, yeah, and that's good, Belinda. I'm glad that some of you are getting something out of it. As you might hear me say often enough, I do try and make every single recipe really simple. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, our testers vary from experienced cooks to, not always cooking, or all different levels of cooking. And they test the recipes, and we don't tend to have too many problems in that. It's only usually if it's an ingredient that might have been used that's incorrect, and that helps me write the recipes in the way that won't ever happen to you. So that's why when I seen even today, I think I saw somebody write, "I love your recipes. Every time I make them, they always work out." Well, that's because we do have a great team of testers that will actually find problems with some of those ingredients that I might say generalized, let's just say like salt. And as I've mentioned many times, don't use iodized salt because it'll make your food bitter, or don't use pink Himalayan salt in the same quantity as sea salt because it's saltier. Those sort of little things. So yeah, just some little tips, but it makes all the food better anyway. But yeah, I'm hoping that this is what these lives will do, is actually just help everyone have a little bit more confidence in the kitchen, see how easy things are done. Yes, I did the curry and the Thermomix today. Big deal. No different than if I put it in a saucepan on my stovetop, right? The stove's still doing the trick. I just would have had to keep looking at it, that's all. The beauty of having a machine like that is I could stick that on and really go upstairs and do my hair if I wanted to. But it just takes the guesswork out. But as I said, like, I was listening as an experienced cook and stuff like that, and adjusting things to suit my own because I'd reduced the amount of liquid that was in it. And, as I've been cooking more and more over the years, I get better at everything that I do as well. But anyway, unless anyone else has got any other questions, I'm going to get off and let you all go because this was a great little session today. I've got some cleanup to do, and then I can chill on my lounge and eat some naan bread or eat some hemp share bread. Okay, so I think we've got it all. I've ordered a set of your books and I'm waiting for them to come. Have arrived in New Zealand today, so very excited to get them. Oh, that's awesome. Thanks, Susan. And thanks to everyone that actually supports us, whether you're using our free recipes on the website or our cookbooks or ebooks. It is so much appreciated. And yeah, we just love you all for tuning in and trying the recipes, and don't ever think that I don't appreciate it when you give me feedback or comments on the recipes, or even just share your pictures on our groups and stuff like that as well too, because it really does make my day to actually see that the recipes are made. When I first started doing this, I don't think anyone made my recipes, which is funny because I actually am from a cooking background professionally, and we're quite popular, of course. And when I started this, I'm like, I can cook, people. Why don't you make my recipes? But it was because I was making recipes too difficult and with ingredients people didn't know. Yesterday, I can say we're using hemp seeds because I love them, but you can get them in nearly every single supermarket these days, and even your IGAs and Aldi's and stuff like that stock them. So, this is what's great about the changes in supermarkets and that as well too. And as you might know now, we do have a very strong focus on what you can buy in the supermarket, and we do test with those ingredients. Even if I choose to use Bob's Red Mill that I buy online, you can still use ones from the supermarket, but I will also give you those little nuggets of information in the notes in every recipe if you choose to use some of the other brands, what may or may not happen, or any different changes in the recipes. But anyway, thanks for joining us today. I'm going to clean up my mess, and I will have a think about what's going to be our next class. I am really keen on possibly doing what we did with the paste today and showing you, or giving you a whole heap of recipes that you can make, and then showing you how to act, like as in pastes and sauces, and then showing you how to actually pre-prepare meals that can be made with some simple protein and vegetables and those keto cubes that we keep in the freezer. So anyway, I'll catch you soon. Oh, and there will be a steaming one coming up, a steamy session. Anyway, I'll talk to you soon, and thanks for coming and tuning in and watching. And if you've only just joined us, you can watch the playback. Okay? Thanks. Bye.